My high C48, Leo Coys and KTK. Lucas on the flight, causing turbulence, causing waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans, from the pitch to the stands. My high looks than the South Bank lads. Leo Coys and a homie Krash. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah. It's chance, I'm bound up, rounds, I love the head to the wars. If it's this, you're off the C38. This time is now. Locals on the jump to hold it down. Like the stream and do 5 stars. The mile high heart spur and crash the car.
Yes, welcome back to the Confluence, you filthy animals. My name is Leo Coys, the Mile High Hotspur, and I'm joined by my homie, the driver of the Daddy Shuttle, KTK Krash. How we feeling, my homie? Talk to me.
Oh, doing great, man. It's one of those times in Colorado where it's winter and it doesn't feel like winter. So any day has been a good day, except with all kinds of Rapids news in the headlines. So it's been a fun week for sure.
Krash, would you say it's been a colorful day today?
I think it's been more than colorful. I think it's been black with a chance of color.
I like that one, bro. I like that one. Well, Krash, before we get into today's show, my homie, I want to say big up to everybody that has been tuning in. Big up to everybody who has taken the leap and subscribed, followed, given us a rating, all that good jazz over here on the Confluence podcast. Krash, slowly but surely, my homie, we're doing it. The podcast is getting out there. The numbers are definitely, showing that people are interested in more Rapids talk, which is good, bro. It's good for the neutral. It's good for the Rapids fan. It's good for MLS, my homie.
Absolutely. I will say I just appreciate all the support, all the listeners, near and far. And just all the engagement. I know we're just starting out and we're getting, more and more little by little. But just the support from all the Rapids community has been great. So thank you. And we're just having fun. I mean, that's the whole point of this. Just an opportunity for us to talk more Rapids and just really enjoy the time together, enjoy the time with you guys. And, we're getting down to the nitty gritty where we're actually going to be able to see each other at some of these games, which is going to be my most exciting piece of it. So more to come for sure.
Well, the countdown is ticking down day by day, my homie. Not too much longer before we're greeting each other at Dick's Sporting Goods Park, my homie. So big up. Can't wait for that one to happen. Today's episode, Black Kits and Red Flags. We had to go straight into it. The long-awaited, however it is you want to say, jersey release, kind of to follow up with, I don't know if it's the rest of the MLS Krash, but I have seen a lot of different jersey reveals this past couple of days. So we are one of the next teams to fall in line with that. We came out with a black kit, Krash, and I kind of say that with like a cloud over my head, bro. I don't know how to feel about this. And needless to say, I think the whole Rapids community right now, is it 50-50, Krash? Talk to me, homie. I want to know how you're feeling. How are you gauging the public? How are we gauging the community? What have you seen floating around there on the X community?
Yeah, no. Well, one, the kit was leaked, a week or so ago, or maybe a month ago. We've kind of gotten word that it was going to be a black kit for some time. So, not sure what and how and different things. So, the release or the leak did kind of really highlight the fundamental nature of the kit, which we had seen before. So now seeing it in real life, I think the key of it is first, I will say, I like the kit. It looks good. It's something that I could wear anytime. It's something that, it's got cool touches. I think the colorful Colorado piece of it, it's the little elements of that make it colorful make sense and are really intentional. The colors are based on the different heritage colors throughout the last 30 years of being a Rapids, which I think is really neat. The jock tag and those kinds of things are really cool. Just, little, past, memorabilia kind of pieces on the kit, which is neat. But it's black. It's a home kit. It's what we're going to be wearing for the next 2 seasons at home. And it's not burgundy. So,
Yeah.
It's one of those things. It's really tough to see our burgundy boys not wearing burgundy on a regular basis. So, I think at the end of the day, if this was an alt kit or a third kit where we're throwing it in, every once in a while, kind of like we did the vintage kit, the green kit from last year,
Yeah.
I would be all over it. I would say, this is fire. This is awesome. I can't wait to see these guys wear this a couple, maybe 5 to 6 games a season. But we don't. It's going to be burgundy. It's not going to be burgundy for 2 years, and I'm not really happy about that. And I know that there's a lot of other people that are not happy about that either.
Dude, look, man, I'm kind of at odds here because from a kit collector's perspective, or like a guy who wants to have a good looking kit, I totally get this move. Like, I totally would purchase this kit if that was my aim here. But at the end of the day, nothing about this kit screams Burgundy Boys, Colorado Rapids, no Colorado identity. Like, I know, and I pulled up what the internet says, and it says the colorful Colorado. I guess that's the name of the kit, because now these kits have names, right? And it's the colorful Colorado kit is the Rapids' primary home jersey, like you said, Krash, for this upcoming season. Designed by Adidas, it marks a bold departure from the traditional burgundy dominant home look fans have been used to in recent years, by introducing a striking new aesthetic that celebrates the state's vibrant identity. Bro, I read that out and it's like, Krash, you and I kind of we talked about this early on in the day, bro, and they tossed out the rebrand idea. Now, I'm not trying to veer this ship too far away, but reading that statement there, bro, that screams like we're trying to get the exact words that they used, bro, were, it marks a bold departure from the traditional burgundy. That sounds like the rebrand is happening, bro. And that sounds like something bold happened. The black kit is a bold move. Krash, before we went live, you were kind of telling me about what you picked up on the video part. I don't know if you wanted to share with the listeners or viewers, but the black kit does kind of bring some sort of a funeral-y or some sort of a death type of feel. I mean, I don't want to go that far extravagant, but Krash, go ahead, homie.
Yeah, you haven't been the first to bring it up, and I know I mentioned it a little bit, and I've tweeted about, in response to a couple things, and we all have a little bit of conspiracy theorists in us, and I'm not saying this is happening, this is intentional, but we always like to find those fun, silly things and throw our tinfoil hat on. So I'm going to throw my tinfoil hat on for a bit of a hot take here. But if you watch the one of the reels or one of the videos that they posted today, it shows the different kits, the different burgundy kits throughout the years. And then as you're watching this, you're seeing each of these kits pop up. And with each kit reveal, it's a tick of the clock. And this clock is a kind of an ominous clock. And in the background of this of these jerseys, behind the tick of the clock, is this what sounds like to me is a funeral organ, or an organ from a church that is maybe during a funeral, and it gets to the black kit, switches, and it's a, the dong of the clock, and it ends. So black does symbolize death, and it is a, mourning color. Not saying that's intentional, but man, that did make it feel a bit ominous to me that maybe there is going to be a funeral of the Burgundy. I sure hope it's not. I hope that's not the way that they're taking it. And I think maybe the colors are being memorialized potentially, which is why they're on the rim and everything. But again, this is me wearing a tinfoil hat. I have no clue what they're doing. I have no clue on the intention. But maybe.
No, bro. Tin hats on all the time, bro. I mean, why not, my homie? I'm totally with it. But my whole thing with it, bro, is like I said, it doesn't scream anything Rapid's identity. I know they went with, they tried explaining the whole stripage, and yeah, fair play to them. I get the whole meaning behind it. And I think I even told you, Krash, like, it's definitely proper, like a good looking kit. It was just bad execution for this team, I think. And do you even think that the name of the kit, Colorful Colorado, matches what we're seeing?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's the key of it. Is I think everybody's biggest take is like, this isn't Colorful Colorado. Yes, and I get the take. We've got the signs as you enter the state. This is Colorful Colorado. I love that idea, and I love that. And I think, that's the challenge that we run into, is it just doesn't match. And if you really look into it, it kind of doesn't match. It's maybe that tone deafness that we struggle with. The things that we want to see, or the way that the club approaches certain things. They're doing it the way they think is right. And I'm not saying it's not a bad kit. I don't think it is, but I think is the matter of, is this the time for that? Is this the right mentality behind that? What are they trying to, is that creative direction, or is this branding confusion, right? Is like, are we trying to be creative and new and try something different, or are we confusing the fans and what might be to come? And I think that's the things that we need to make sure we're looking at. End of the day, I think it is a good kit. I like it. It's something I could wear, and I might pick it up if it's on sale. I would struggle to wear it at a game just because I want to see my team in Burgundy. And I also don't want the entire, bowl at Dick's to be black. I want it to be burgundy. I want it to be, I want it to look like the Rapids, supporters, are filling the stadium, And I think the biggest takeaway I look at it is, most likely the case of that black kit is it's a kit that a casual fan would buy. That fan who makes his way to the first game, makes his way to, bought season tickets this year because of the Messi game, or just is buying those tickets for that game, or whatever that might be. That casual fan will wear the black kit out. It's a kit that they could wear out on a Friday night, or they could wear to dinner or something like that. And it's not going to be obtrusive, or, this big, bold burgundy color that is going to stand out, where black is going to be much, much simpler. It's going to have some nice accents and look cool. It's going to have somebody catch that eye. I was like, oh, what's that? Rather than a big burgundy kit that's going to be hard to kind of match with. So from that perspective, it makes sense.
Bro, the burgundy and the blue, Krash, I think I've told you this, was one of the reasons it took me forever to become a Rapids fan, because it's synonymous with West Ham colors and different other colors that I would prefer not to wear. But I've come to terms with loving my hometown club, and these are the colors that we wear. And it would just suck if that was to change. Like, just when I think Colorado Rapids, I think Burgundy. I think the Burgundy boys. I'll even say this, bro. I think the way they did the jersey last season, the green one, chef's kiss, homie. They did a perfect job in marketing that kit. In the I don't know if it was a template or anything like that, but I think the execution on that was perfect. The whole story behind it was perfect. The Marcelo Balboa aspect to it was just amazing. They nailed that one perfect. Bro, you know what? I'm even tripping. I'll go back to our last two. The New Day kit was, in my opinion, a pretty fire kit, the light blue one. And then the checkered pattern on our Burgundy kit.
The one flag.
Not a bad design. Yeah, the one flag, not a bad design. So definitely a huge shift. And before we move forward, just to touch back on the kit, I have this pulled back up. It says the primary base, the black, again, is a dramatic shift for clubs historically known for the burgundy and sky blue. So this does mark the first time we're going with an all black primary shirt. The accent colors, Krash, the stripes that we were talking about. The burgundy, of course, is going to be a node to the club's core identity, which right there they haven't forgot to mention. It's the club's core identity, the burgundy. The blue, obviously representing Colorado's expansive skies. The green, echoing the forest and the outdoor spaces that we have, and the gold inspired by the sandstone and the aspen hues across the state. So, like we said, bro, on paper and as a beautiful kit, yes. Burgundy boys, no, not so much.
I will say one additional thing about the kit, or at least the kit launch, that is worth noting, and I think is probably the kind of the cherry on top, which makes this kit worth being excited about, is the fact of the kind of the cause behind it. I know that they partnered with UC Health to donate over the next couple years, I think it's like 10,000 soccer balls to kids across I think throughout the state, which, I think the intent of that, right, is, soccer doesn't need much. You just need a ball. And so I think that, and being able to expand the access to kids and people in the state is huge. And so for me, the more soccer balls out there in kids' hands, the better. And so the way I look at it is, if that's what it took for this kit to happen, then I'm happy about this kit, because I think that access is more important than anything. So end of the day, am I happy with it? I like the kit. Am I happy that's our home kit? No. But am I happy with the cause? Absolutely. So I think that's kind of my takes at the end of the day is it's just a little tone deaf to a degree, but I love the cause.
It would have made for probably one of the best, if not the best, third kits in the league, Krash.
It would have sold by hotcakes.
Bro, I wouldn't. To be fair, I mean, it still is, bro. But marketing it as the first jersey or the home jersey is strange. But yeah, bro, had this been like an alternate, oh man, dude, that then just raises the bar. You know what I mean? Just takes this jersey to another level, in my opinion. Am I wrong to say that only LAFC are the only other team that do the black home kit? Who else in the league is?
LAFC had their home kit, and then DC United. There is a black and red kit, but their main base is black this year. So I don't know other ones. I know Minnesota United. They have a black base, but they have the blue over top. So it's a bit of a mix. But nobody. I don't think anybody outside of DC United really has such a hard stance on the black as the base. I think there's much more additional colors. It's, maybe it's 60-40 as opposed to 90-10 kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see here, Krash. I have something else that I was going to ask you about the kit, bro, but it just happened to. No, but we could definitely move on, Krash. Guys, go let us know on any of the platforms. Just we've probably seen some of the stuff on on X and on Instagram as well. I know I check some of the platforms to see the comments. I'm always curious to see what the other homies are saying. And yeah, bro, it's a lot of people are not happy. I know even some of the close homies to us, Krash, are definitely not happy about it. Um, Anything else you wanted to say on the jersey before we move any further? Oh, now I know what I wanted to ask you. Sorry about that. Is there any other jersey, Krash, that has come out throughout the league that you have seen that you say, "Holy crap, that's a fire kit," or anything that has piqued your interest that has come out recently? So like I said, a lot of
Yeah,
teams have been, if not all of them, have been releasing their stuff here in the last couple of days.
I think all 30 have released between the last 2 days. So I haven't seen them all. I've been trying to kind of catch them. I know DMVR Rapids did their kit launch this afternoon. I was listening on my drive home and caught some of the takes from them, and they were also looking over a lot of the kits from the rest of the league. And a couple that I had seen and was talking with some of the guys about yesterday was, I do really like the Minnesota United kit. It's a black kit, but it has blue on it. It's got a pattern that's kind of recreating some of the feathers for the loon, which I thought was unique and matched their identity and really kind of was kind of a knock out of the park kit for them. Something I could if it was a Rapids base and that kind of mentality, I would wear that. And then the Philadelphia kit, man, that one is just really cool. It's a nod to kind of the American history with the Constitution and everything that kind of happened in Philadelphia back 1776. So there's like Ben Franklin and God We Trust in 1776, or July 4th, 1776 independence. Those kinds of things kind of patterned all over the kit. And it just looks really cool. There's a lot of those kind of hidden little nods in there, which I'm a big history buff. So those kinds of things for me, I thought was really, really neat. So just some of those kind of kits I just thought was unique and different, but also, really unique with the identity of those clubs or those cities, which I thought they did really well. And then, the LAFC kit, I used to live in LA a while ago, and where LAFC is based, I mean, they're right downtown LA, and so that kit really has that downtown LA Art Deco vibe with this kit, and so I think for them and that identity of the city and kind of what it matches up to with that region, I thought it was really on brand for that, and so I like that kit. It's not my favorite kit, but I just thought that, where it sits and where it goes, it's a kit that, if I were a LAFC fan, I would definitely would be a must buy for me just based on kind of those elements there. So, for me, those are the ones that I had really seen. There's a few other ones. I think there's been a lot of misses, man. Look at some of the kits across the league, and I was like, that one is just absolutely terrible. So I might complain about certain things about the new home kit, and really it's just about it being burgundy or not being burgundy at the end of the day. The rest of it, they did a really good job on, and I think that's the key is there's so many other kits out there are just absolutely horrible. So I wouldn't want to wear them. I wouldn't want to have my team wear them, and so I think at the end of the day, I'm happy with that aspect. At least it's not as bad as some of the other ones out there.
Yeah. And just to kind of touch on what I to answer my own question, Inter Miami will be playing in a black kit as well this season, is what they have a black kit as well, black and pink.
Yep, right.
Yeah, I didn't really see
black and pink.
Yeah, no, and like we said, it's kind of hard to go wrong with the black kit unless, of course, it's your home kit that you're not used to. Then, of course, you'll be able to nitpick it all day. But big up to the jerseys. I mean, they're definitely getting more out there, bro. I definitely bitched a lot last season about the goalkeepers' jerseys. They just are like majorly templated and they just all look the same, just like copy and paste, which, I mean, like I said, we could sit here and nitpick everything like that. But On the jersey talk, and I guess it's not really too hectic, but why are goalkeeper kits not a thing? Is it a thing, Crash? Like, how come they don't hype up the goalkeeper kits? Like, they need some love too, bro. They have some Zach Steffen's kit. I hope they launch that joint because it looks. I seen some snippets of that joint and it looks pretty nice itself, bro.
I think the reason why is because league wide they're the same. Like every goalkeeper and every MLS team wears literally the exact same kit in just different colors. So I think that's the key of it is like it's whatever kit that either MLS or Adidas comes up with, and I could be completely wrong, but just from my observation, it looks identical across the board. So I'm guessing they're not hyping it up because it's just one of those stock Adidas kits. They're like, here MLS, this is what the goalkeepers are wearing this year. And I think that's the downfall is that there's no uniqueness to each club with those goalkeeper kits.
That's the best way to describe it. There's no uniqueness. However, the color scheme on Zach Steffens does look pretty nice. I won't bitch about that one. Krash, moving on to the next part of the show. Let's talk a little bit about our last preseason match that we had, which would have been a 4-1 loss to Columbus. But a little bit about this match. Can you explain a little bit to the listeners and viewers just how this match played out? Because it wasn't a full 90, right? It was kind of broken up into three thirds, if you will, Krash.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. It was, I think the intent of it was to give, like 60 minutes to each squad. And so there were the three. I think they split up or made substitutions in the half or in that kind of that middle third. But yeah, it was what it looked like on paper. The first half did look like what a natural starting 11 would be. It was hard to kind of argue otherwise. So I think it was the nod to say, okay, if I had to have a starting 11 today, these are who would be available. I think the only name on that list that we would maybe expect to be in the starting 11 would be Hamzat, but he has just joined the team and had just started training. So I think that was the only kind of name there that was a little more up for grabs than the rest. But yeah, so the first half, I guess you say, with kind of that starting 11, I think we ended. I think we got the goal first, and then we were able to. No, we didn't. We didn't get the goal first. My bad. We didn't get it until later. But we went into it. I think it was 1 or 2-0 down at the half, and then made the switch and dropped. I think 2 or 3 goals with the substitutes in there. We did get a goal from Alexis Manyoma, which the team posted. But outside of that kind of headline and then a penalty kick save from Zach Steffen, that's the only highlights that the team has put out. There hasn't been any highlights or really conversations that I've seen from the Columbus side. They didn't announce their goal scores that I'm aware of. So we don't know if 2 or 3 of those goals were own goals or what they might have been. We don't really know how well the team did at the end of the day. There hasn't been any media availabilities or any real communications about that preseason game. So it happened in the dark. We didn't get a whole lot of footage and we're just kind of going off scoreline. So it's hard to tell what it was, but it definitely looked like it was, a dress rehearsal for that starting 11 to get some minutes. It's a little disconcerting to see a 4-0 loss to Columbus, at a preseason game, but it is preseason, so it's hard to put a lot of weight to it. And then I think the other thing to keep in mind is Matt Wells has been in the past games putting all the players into a really challenging position by doing things like making us having them like weights in strength day the day before the scrimmage to make them more tired and make them come in with tired legs and challenge them physically. So who knows what gauntlet he had them running through the day before, and so maybe they were just physically exhausted and then trying to make it work. So so I don't know. It's a still big question at the end of the day.
Krash, I think the toughest part for us fans, the ones that I guess want to be more in the know, these type of games are a bit of a letdown for us because we're not given any type of insight, bro. We're just like you said, they released very minimal content about this match. Was it because there was nothing really to write home to mom about? Who knows, right? I mean, we did lose technically 4-1, but still, you would like to do they really want to show who's struggling, who's not? I mean, as a fan, you would want to be able to see or hear at least, or uh to get a glimpse at who's really grasping this system, who came in with those tired legs, Krash, who is looking like they're barely floating with their head above water, all these type of things. I think us fans, and even more so the more invested type of fan who looks for this type of content, I think we're starved of that, bro. And it sucks to have preseason games where, you know, we there it would have been nice to have some sort of streamed access to it, you know what I mean? Even if it was through Apple or something, or maybe direct through the Rapids website. Like, why couldn't we just get like a live feed from the match, for the fans that are invested? Because just we're not the only two fans that want to know, that want to watch those games, that would want to see. We're not the only two fans that have those type of questions, Krash. And it would have been nice. It would be nice to get some statistical value out of those matches. At least some sort of post from the Rapids that said, "Hey, our man of the match was this player." You know what I mean? Hell, maybe even like a preseason recap, like the most improved player or something. Like, I mean, I know, I guess I speak for myself, Krash, but I would love to see any type of content, any type of material coming out from the motherland regarding that type of stuff, bro. Because look, just to kind of bring it full back to bring it back to the match, it'd be nice to see what that left back battle is, considering, not to jump forward in the stream, but we're rumored to be trying to get people to fill some positions. It would be nice to see why um, it is that we're looking at this position. What's going on with the Sam Vines? What's going on with the Jackson Travis? You know what I mean? What's going on in the midfield? Is Hamzat really? Has he hit the ground running? Is he struggling with some with some points, So, man, I didn't mean to like veer off on a rant there, on a tangent, but Rapids, come on, we need some more. I know you guys listened to my homie Krash, and you guys gave us the audio on the questions. Now, give us a little bit of more content. Give us some more footage on these preseason stuff. I want to see that gauntlet, Krash. I want to see these players like broke it down, bro. I want to see which one of these players is caving in. I want to see which ones are, standing up to the pressure, bro. Because the little bit of stuff that we're getting, crashes, yeah, they're preparing for war, and that's all good signs. But I want to see some evidence, Krash.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, and I think the key of it is, and at least from the supporter side, and I do understand why they limit the exposure to that, because just like we want to see it for statistics and see how the teams are doing, the oppositions are going to want to look at the same information. Like, what are we going to be bad? I mean, Seattle's going to want to know, Portland's going to want to know. I mean, these first couple games before they understand what the system is and kind of how the players are going to play. So I get there's an advantage, but they're going to see that soon enough, and it's hard to, you can also show clips and kind of highlights that work around that enough to see kind of how well a player's doing. But, I think the key of it though really is we've had challenges with players. We've questioned, players coming in. Is this person worth this much? Or is this the person that we need? And, the front office has a very much a kind of a pattern of the type of player that they bring in. And a lot of us question that and see is that really what we should be doing? Especially when it's, in this league, there's a pattern of a standard that you can make to make a successful team. And the Rapids tend to buck that trend and do their own thing. And it hasn't really fruited in the past couple of years well. There's been some moments and different things where it has worked, but I think at the end of the day, we're going into a season with a new coach with a lot of players that we're used to gone. We don't know what kind of system we're playing, and we're all looking for hope. At the end of the day, we're all looking for just that sign that, hey, our club is going to compete. Our club is going to be there, and they're going to be battling for this. We've been told for years that, we're going to be a playoff team and we're going to do this and we're going to fight and we're going to be at the top. We're going to win trophies, but it hasn't really happened. And so we're kind of tired of hearing it, and we want to see it. And we want to see the fruit. We want to see the quality. We want to see that these players, that these young players, are what they expect. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you listen to any previews for the season or the teams, the coverage, that a lot of the podcasters and streamers and content creators out there are talking. I mean, they talk about the Rapids is we don't know. We don't know who they're going to be. They could be great. They could be terrible. I mean, the track record isn't there. And the way that we get players, they're a lotto ticket, like I've mentioned before, right? We know that there's value in there, but is that value going to hit? And if you look at most teams, they get these young players as that maybe they're going to hit, and maybe one or two of them will. But we have an entire team built to that. So if one or two hit, that means that 5 didn't or 6 didn't, and that's half of our starters. And so I think that's the key. So we want to see, how are they doing? How are they playing? Are they living up to the expectation? Are they going to be a team that's pushing for trophies or even pushing for the playoffs, to be honest?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, that's what we hope to see.
Krash, and I guess just to bring it back to the match, as a fan, you want to see, the last thing you want to see is your team lost 4-1 in the preseason match, though, right? But Krash, just how much of that 4-1 loss should the fans really be looking into? Like, how much can we rely on that? Just definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I see, and just to bring it back to some of the comments underneath of those posts, you could just see people like, oh, it's going to be a long season. And, it just may be, Krash. It just may be. But how much of this right now should the fans really be buying into the fact that, yeah, it was a preseason match. We lost 4-1. How do you feel about that? I mean, just as a fan, from the fan point of view.
Yeah. Well, from a fan point of view, I think it's discouraging for sure. And we've had such a history of being disappointed. And so anything that reminds of that disappointment, we're going to go dark. So it just is what it is. And that's just what we're bred. And it's, anytime you deal with those kinds of situations, your first moment's going to be like, oh, we're back to there again. Hello, darkness, my old friend kind of moments. Right. But in reality, it's a preseason game. We lost 4-1. Most of the goals came from that second team, if I'm not mistaken. And so take it for a bit of grain of salt, because we don't know the situation that they were under and what they were put in and what they were trying to do and how those goals came about. But I think the key that is more important than us losing 4-1 is the fact that we only scored 1 goal, and it came from Alexis Manyoma. And so I think for me, in these, granted, there was that second game that we did hear that they had two goal scorers, no context on who and how it came about. But we're not seeing production from Hoffa. We're not seeing production from Seeley. We're not seeing production from Paxton. We're not seeing production from our attacking people that we want to see production from. And so at the end of the day, I think that's the question is like, are we seeing positive play from these guys? Are these guys going to be exciting to watch? Is this team going to score goals this year? I don't know. And that's why I think I'm more concerned rather than the 4-1 loss. It's more of, are we producing anything? And if we're not, then I'm worried.
One thing I will say, and I know this is definitely true, is our team is going to need to take risks this season, because not taking a risk itself is a huge risk, Krash. So we're definitely going to need to be putting up some goals if we're going to be doing anything this season. Krash, again, to come back to the match, probably the main focus and the main part of these matches, and having these battles, having these, I guess, different periods, is for some of these current position battles, right? Um, in your opinion, right now, not given any added transfers, not bringing in any players, just as our squad stands right now, as our squad stood the day we played this match against Columbus. What position battles are out there? What position battles do you think are key right now for the Pids? Which one is the biggest one? Do you think that Matt Wells and company are really trying to dial in? Which one are you kind of more doubting? I gotta know, Krash.
Yeah, I mean, the biggest one for me is really going to be our left back. It's going to be, does Sam Vine produce? Does he live up to that price tag that he's gone on? Does he battle for minutes against another homegrown at Jackson Travis, who's far cheaper and has proven to be a quality player? Also, does Sam produce to the point where we got rid of Rafa Santos during the offseason and didn't bring him in, right? There's a lot of questions at that left back position that I think are probably the biggest. And, I think at the end of the day, are we giving Sam a third shot to live up to the expectation that has been put on him for a while? And it's not even to, be the person he was when he went to Europe, but just is to be a consistent, safe starter every game. Is he producing? Is he defending? Is he able to do the things that a left back's expected to do? And I don't know in this system that what Wells is, asking of his left backs. It does sound from the last, his last media availability, he's asking a lot of them, and it's going to be a really challenging position. Can he live up to that? Does he fit into that system? I don't know. And, we'll see how it goes. So that'll be my biggest key, is who's starting at that left back position. And do they produce? And then the next for me is really who's the partner to Rob Holding? Who's that next center back? We have Rob Holding and a bunch of young guys, and kind of Ian Murphy. So, which of those young guys are going to step up, or is it Ian, right? Who has MLS minutes, who can play that role and has proven he is capable. But is it enough? So I think really those two positions are still undetermined, and we need them to be solid, players. We need them, we leaked goals so badly last season, and a lot of it, maybe it was with the way that we played under Armistice's system, but also we need those key players to step up and be that solid back line that we, that we're going to need to, compete. So those are the two areas I think we're most. I think everything else is a little more gray and probably in flux, but I think those are the key pieces we need to look at.
I agree, homie. And just kind of to caveat a bit about that on the left back situation, I'm not trying to be harsh, but for me, Vines is just too injury prone. Or I don't know if he's injury prone or he just spent some injury time. He spent some time out last season. So consistently, he wasn't there for me last season. However, I think going forward, Attacking wise, I think he offers a bit more than what Jackson Travis does. Jackson Travis, for me, is just a better defensive outlet there for me, I guess, if you will. So definitely interested to see that battle. One thing I guess I kind of want to add to that, Krash, is these players are going to have to learn the fullbacks are going to learn a new system, because this is European system, right? These fullbacks are going to be asked to do a lot more, just like you brought up earlier. He's asking a lot of his fullback in European football. The fullback is sometimes key to a lot of the build-up play. Krash does a lot of help, a lot of overlap, inverts. We'll see what type of scheme we got going when we see these players playing. However, don't want to jump too far ahead in the stream. We are looking for reinforcements there, so that battle is going to get heat up a bit more. Center back wise, I think if the season was to start tomorrow, I think we're going with Ian Murphy and Holding back there, just based off of the experience there for Murphy. However, I don't put it past one of these young cats to step in and trying to make a name for themselves. Harrington is coming over from the A-League, right? Coming over from Australia. Will want to hit the ground running here. A big young kid that's definitely going to be a force in the future. So the sooner we can get him running, the better for us. And also, too, that midfield situation with, I guess it's all depending on the formation that we're going to be playing. If we're doing a 4-3-3 and we're only going to be doing that one monster six, that only leaves space for one, you know what I mean? And he's going to have to choose either from Hamza, or you can even throw an Atencio in there if he could get the system down. So a lot across the board. For me, I would be very interested to see that midfield battle. Just to kind of add a different question to this, would you welcome a double pivot of Atencio and Hamza? How would you welcome? Like, is that a doable partnership, or is that too one-dimensional for you?
And it's tough because I really haven't seen Hamza play, right? And I think that's the key of it. I think Atencio is capable. I think when he struggled with some injuries last season too, so it was hard to see him with consistent minutes and consistent form. We did see some good things from him, and I think he really should have been that six that we were hoping for last year. But also, I think the system that we played in didn't lend itself to the benefit of him in that position. So I don't know. It'll be interesting to see. I think he could definitely play forward if needed. From what Hamza has spoken about, I mean, it sounds, he really plays well in the defensive side of that midfield. So I could see that potentially with him being more of that, the defensive side of that pivot, I guess. But I don't know. It's interesting to look at. I don't know if he might be the right one. I think it would probably be, for me, a better pivot with Atencio and Ronan, or Hamza and Ronan, rather than the two natural sixes, rather than somebody who's more of an 8.
Dude, I just hate to say this too. Ronan as well, another one of these players that just can't stay on the pitch for a long time, bro. I think that his last injury wasn't something that is that with his appendix. Yes, I mean that was definitely not something that was field related. So you do have to feel for that, but still, it doesn't help the fact that just couldn't stay fit last season. So honestly, Krash, Hamza stepping into this lineup just kind of throws a grenade in that locker room to see who's gonna freaking survive that position, bro. If I'm honest with you.
And for the amount they paid for him, I'm assuming he's going to be a starter. So it's going to be a tough competition.
Fair point, homie. Krash, with 11 days left, what, if anything, feels structurally concerning for you?
Yeah, man. This is where the red flags are, right? This is where we're going, okay, what's happening? What's going on? And I think that was it. I alluded to it before, is are our attacking players producing chances? Are our attacking players dangerous? Are our attacking players creating things? Are they challenging the back lines of the teams we're playing? And if they're not, then we got 11 days to figure that out. That seems like a short period of time for that to kind of find fruit. And I think the other side of that structure is, the defensive side. And, are they meshing well? Are they finding a good dynamic, or between them? Are they able to communicate and know where each other are going to be without having to think about it? And I think those are the keys. The defensive side really has to be lock and step with each other, because they've got to support, when somebody steps, they got to have, somebody's got to be there to cover, and they've got to make sure that they're making decisions as a unit rather than independently, where I think that's where the attacking side, they're more creative. They can play a little more free and do things, and they don't have to be as tight knit, but that defensive core has to be completely locked down. And are they? We shipped 11, 4 goals last preseason or last scrimmage. Are they doing it, or is it just because it was a young group out there? I don't know. But that's the structure that is concerning to me. And will we figure it out in 11 days? I don't know. Have we figured it out now? I don't know.
No. I'm interested to see how quick our team's going to grasp the system and just, I guess, learn the ropes, because 11 days, Krash is going to come up pretty quick, homie. Real quick, I'm going to go through, I guess we have a bit of rumor talk, you know what I mean, to wrap up the rest of this show. There is some rumor talk. We haven't really nothing concrete. However, I will toss out these 3 names, Krash, for you real quick. Loïc Williams, a young center back from Spain, playing in Granada. That's in La Liga 2, a Spain youth international. Somewhat similar profile to an Ian Murphy. Has a market value about 1.1 million. Rumored fee of about 3 million for that player there, Krash. And I'll cruise through these 3, and then I guess we'll kind of talk about them individually. Another one, Matías Galarza Fonda, Paraguayan center mid from River Plate, a senior international. Market value about 3 million. Rumored fee they're asking for possibly around 5 million. And then another player, a Venezuelan left back. We were talking about that position. Miguel Navarro from CA. I'm assuming that's Club Atlético Talleres. Again, a Venezuelan senior international. About a $2 million market value. Rumored to be somewhat of a loan with an option there. Krash, we're going to bring it back. I know I just wanted to fly through them real quick. First one, a young Spanish youngin center back. Thoughts on Loïc Williams?
Man, this one really kind of baffles the mind, to be honest. And it also kind of makes it seem like a rapid signing all at the same time. I think the key of it is market value, right around 1 million, I think, in euros. He's, League 2 Spain. So, not the top. So, it's like a question, like, where is he? How is he? Is he really worth that rumored fee around $3.5 million? And that seems like a big overstep and an overpay for a center back. That if you look, it's at the profile. I mean, he's got almost the same height as Ian Murphy, similar age, similar market value in the world market. And so it's like, why it seems like we're kind of doubling up on the same thing for, we got Ian for almost nothing in that trade with from Cincy with Gito last season. And it just seems like, why are we kind of overspending for a player we already have? And I think the other big key of this is the rumor is that he's He wouldn't be coming in this window. He'd be staying until the summer. And so again, the other side of that is why would we be looking at this player? Is he that good that we want to have him in the summer? That we're going to be overspending at that? I don't know. It just seems like a lot to me that for a player that we kind of already have on the team, and I don't really think it adds the level of quality that we need at center back that we might not already have.
Fair points, my homie. Probably the more ambitious of the three rumors there, right? The one for, I guess, and honestly, the less sensible of them all, if I'm honest with you. Or I guess I could be wrong. The last one could be the less sensible. I don't know. We'll get on to Matías Galarza Fonda, center mid. What do you think of the club being rumored with another center mid? A player from River Plate. So I guess a club that has some sort of prestige, right? One of these big clubs from South America. Again, a Paraguayan international. What about the rumored asking fee? They're saying about 5 million for that one. Is this the type of player you think that would stabilize our midfield?
Maybe. And I think the real question of is, we just got rid of Cole, and Matías seems like a Cole replacement. Why did we get rid of Cole if we're just going to bring in a replacement that's similar to his kind of or similar in the midfield, or maybe add similar levels of quality there? I think that's the big question. In this is a big rumor. There's no real confirmation outside of a lot of chatter online. So nothing from Tom or any of these, and really any of these haven't been confirmed by any means. Still just rumors. But the last information that I did see that was kind of chatter online was the Rapids put out an offer, and it was initially rejected. And then River Plate's trying to get their investment into Matías back. And they're looking at around a 5 million asking price for him to cover what they invested into him. I think from the information I did see online, he's not getting minutes, and so a lot of the fans are actually angry at the club not taking the offer for him if it actually came, just because. Because if he's not getting minutes, and then what is he doing, and then they should get some money for him. So I don't know. I from what I could tell, he does look like a potential quality signing. But again, young player, similar profile to what we typically get. I think from what I saw, he kind of took a dip in quality while at River Plate. So who knows why? But do we really think we're going to be able to fix that and he's going to thrive at the Rapids? I don't know. Good question. So, but I don't know. I don't think we're going to be taking a chance on him if it's 5 million, to be honest.
And honestly, just to caveat all of that, I really don't think that either these two or the next guy scream ambition. You know what I mean? It's not like that move the needle type signing. I think not necessarily panic buys, but not needle movers. And I don't know. I don't want to say incompetence from the club because they're trying to do something. But I mean, this next player here, Miguel Navarro, left back. This is a somewhat of an interesting story here, Krash, because Club Atlético de Talleres exercised their option to purchase the left back from the Colorado Rapids in December of 2024 for a fee reported to be upwards of 7 figures, right? This transaction then followed a loan spell for the 25-year-old defender who was originally acquired by Colorado from the Chicago Fire before he was loaned out to the Argentinian side. So would this be then we're getting the player back, right? And is this going to be on a loan?
Yeah.
Rumor?
Yeah. So the rumors are, so many of you don't know who Miguel Navarro was or is. But those of you who are big, kind of Rapids sickos would know he was part of the team. But he never played a minute with the Rapids. I remember correctly, I think he maybe had an injury at some point. We did loan him out to Talleres, and they exercised that option, I think, at the so last season. So the question is we sold him for over $1 million potentially. No, there's no hard evidence on that. There was, from my understanding, a sell-on clause to Chicago, so they got their cut from the deal. We're probably still getting, because of how these fees work, right? These transfer fees, you're not getting it all in a lump sum most of the time. So we're probably still getting paid. So does it make sense to loan somebody, sell them, and then take them back on another loan and with an option? I don't know. It'd be interesting. I think there's probably some Rapids math in there that makes sense at the end of the day. Maybe we had a sell-on clause on them, and we're going to recoup that sell-on clause to reduce the cost fee or something. I don't know, maybe. But I think the key of it is if you look at his market value, it did increase once he went to Paris. And so he was at a nominal rate. We sold him. It increased, and it continued to increase. And I did a little bit of just digging, and I did look into a comparison, which as a left back, he's going to directly compete with Sam Vines if he comes to the team. And if you look at the two market rates and market values, Miguel Navarro is actually higher than Sam right now. And that rate shifted when Sam came to the Rapids and when Miguel left. And when Miguel left, his stock climbed and Sam's declined. And so I think at the end of the day, if you're just looking kind of at those, those stats, they're similar comparison, like they're really a similar quality. They're similar stats, similar minutes, similar goals and assists. There's just, things in there that really match up. So I don't know. It's a maybe a cover in case Sam doesn't work out, or a potential an option if Sam gets hurt again and they needed somebody to really step in. So this one I think is actually going to happen, and I think this is the one that of the three is probably the safest bet. He knows the club. He's been there, even though he didn't get the minutes. He's been around and understands the intent and what he's in for. So maybe it makes sense. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if it does happen, and I hope that he continues to rise in quality and his stock keeps going up if he comes. But what does that mean for Sam? That'll be the big question.
Yeah, no, bro, fair play. And look, that just may be the Rapids way of cooking the books to make sure everything's all right, my homies. Let's bring them back in. Look, if I'm one of these left backs at our club right now, I know we talked about the left back battle, but there was an asterisk with that, you know what I mean? And it's this player here. If he gets brought through the door, he probably gets the nod over both of these players. If that's the case, you know what I mean? If we bring him in, and based off those metrics that you kind of just said, he's definitely walking into the starting lineup, homie. Let me see here. Krash, I think you froze. I don't know if you're there, homie.
Yep, no, we're good.
Yeah. Krash, so he definitely would be an improvement though, right?
I think so. Yeah, I think at the end of the day, he would be he would be an addition that would make sense, right? And the quality with what we've got, he's not going to be a decrease in quality. And I don't think he's going to be a hindrance. So he would definitely push for minutes for Jackson. And then push, for sure would be up above Jackson, and then would be pushing for minutes, over Sam potentially as well. And that's the other thing too, is there's a good chance Sam's just not fitting into Wells' system at all. And it's just, it's not very shallow. So, maybe he's just looking for an alternative, and that would make sense to me. And their first call would be, oh, we got Miguel Navarro. We never got the minutes, but we had a lot of hopes and doing well. Maybe we see if he can come to us, and maybe that's what's happening.
That was a good shout, Krash. Homie, so just to wrap up the show, last episode, Krash, we kind of left off with a bit of homework, and we left out there a question for the listeners and the viewers. And I'm trying to pull that up here. The question was, Krash, what additional move or moves can we make to actually make us better? And we had one response. I tried to pull up the name for the response, but the response said we could get a new screen, a great coach, but maybe we already have that, a true system. The Rapids way has been back pass and bore the fans with no attack. And he votes that we consider a 6 and a center back. Did he fulfill the homework assignment, Krash?
Well, one, I appreciate that we did get some responses here, and thank you for engaging there. And again, we look for all that engagement to add to it. But yeah, I think this is what the fans want. This is what the fans have been asking for years, maybe decades at this point. And I think, what I see here is I see ambition, and I see, the club taking responsibility for that ambition. The screen is the number one sign that the club doesn't care about the little things or the big things, because it is a big screen, right? And, does that really add value to the team? No. But does it show that the club or the owners actually care about this team? Yes. So I think at the end of the day, I would much rather have a great coach and a great system and a great team than I would a new screen. So if we're putting that money into the team and we're putting that money into making them successful, great. Love it. I'm happy that we're doing that. And so we'll see how that turns out. But if we're not, man, fix the easy things then. If we're going to have a crappy team, let's make sure we have a really good scoreboard to watch it on or something. I don't know. So
an enjoyable experience.
Yeah, an enjoyable experience, right? And so I think at the end of the day, that's where they are. 6 and a center back. Yeah, maybe. If we're leaking goals like we did last season, yeah, we need another 6 and a center back. But I think Hamzat is meant to be that one. So I will hold my concerns or critique of him until we see him. But I like what I see so far. So let's hope that's good. And I think we have a couple good young center backs that will and could step up. I think Noah Cobb is, we didn't touch on him much, but he showed last season that can play. He's got good quality. He's exciting. He's young, so he's going to learn, right? And I think the key of a center back is experience, and the more minutes he gets, the better he's going to be. So I'm not sure we need a 6 or a center back. One thing that we struggle with a lot is scoring goals. Sure. And we can have a defense that drops a couple goals here and there, but what we don't necessarily always have is a dynamic and creative attacking force that puts balls in the back of the net. Until I see that we have that, or see the quality that we brought in can do that, I'm going to say we need attacking players. We need dangerous attacking players. And I mean dangerous people that get on the field that they're going, oh, shoot, I have to play against him, right? Yeah. A Son, a Dennis Bouanga, any MLS starter, a Messi, throw them out there. The players that go on the field and you're just like, oh no, Ty Baribo, any of those players. The one that jumps to me is not like a flashy name, but the guy from Vancouver that plays with Mueller. Who is Sebastian Berhalter? Is that who that is? Or am I wrong there? Yeah, midfielder.
Bro, he's not like this huge market name, bro, but the kid's a freaking baller. Like when he's on the pitch, bro, he's one of those impact type players that you're. when you say that, I think the players like that, of course, the Messis, the Heung-min Sons, even nowadays the Buangas, the Muellers, they're gonna demand that respect. But then you come down a tier, you know what I mean? And then you have that Berhalter type player that is definitely like, who else? You think of I hate to say it, the kid at RSL is really good. Their 10 is really good. Like players like that when they're on the pitch,
Diego Luna.
yeah, you can even go out east here to Sporting KC with Joveljic. You know what I mean? He could put some fear into a player, bro. You know what I mean? So
Absolutely.
players like that, I definitely agree, Krash. Look, the thing that I guess not additional move, but I think something that can actually make us better is the players giving their all in this preseason, and their players really, I touched on this in the last episodes, just buying into the system. I really believe in the way Matt Wells is trying to lead the team. Just the work that he's done in the past, the philosophy that I want to think he's going to bring to the Rapids, it's going to bear some good fruits. We just have to weather the storm, my homie. So the players need to be the first ones bought in to this new philosophy. And I think that's the start. Krash, apart from that, homie, just to wrap everything up, dude, we could be found on YouTube at The Confluence Pod, on X, anywhere you get your podcasts in, we could be found. We're also going to be looking into doing some sort of a watch along, and not the watch along where if you can't watch the game, hop over here, we're going to tell you what's going on. No, this is going to be grab something to drink, grab something to smoke, grab something to hang out on the couch. Come kick it with the homies. We're going to be watching the game, and you're going to be watching the game. Why not get in the comments, interact, tell us what you're seeing, tell us who your man of the match was, tell us who dropped the ball, who's fumbling, stuff like that. That's the type of interaction we kind of want to go with on that type of watch along. Krash, am I wrong for saying that?
No, not at all. No, I think this is something I'm actually really excited by. I think we all watch these away games and away matches, on our iPads or on our TVs or on our phones or whatever, and we're doing it at our home. And most of the times, sometimes we'll be able to go to a bar and watch them. I usually don't get a chance to do that with the kids and family at the home, so I usually find my corner and watch the games. But we were talking about it, and I just thought this would be a good way for us to engage with the community and provide an opportunity for all of us to come together and watch these away days. I think the intent, I'm not a commentator. I'm not a play-by-play announcer. I don't want to be that. I want to be a fan and a supporter, and I want to be excited and cheer with the homies. And at the end of the day, that's what we want it to be. We'll, be able to, just like we were at the Dick watching a match, we're going to talk about the starting 11. We're going to talk about the hype before the game. And when we're watching the game, we're not conversing and chatting about everything. We're watching the game. We're getting excited. Like, oh, did you see that? Oh my God, that was a good player. Like, oh, what did we just do? That was terrible. Right. Yeah. That's the kind of commentary and kind of engagement that we plan. And we'd love for everybody to just join us in the chat. We're going to put it on YouTube on our channel there. We're going to put it on X and give it a shot and see what it is. We're not putting any fancy graphics or score lines up on the thing or following any of those kinds of things. We're going to be watching the game just like you. We want to make sure that we provide an opportunity and a space for us all to connect and watch the game together.
Just kicking it with the homies. That's all it's going to be about. Just to kick about with the homies, Krash. I like that, homie. I like that. Well, look, it's been another fun episode. It is getting late. It is winding down. We got through the nitty-gritty. Krash, was there anything that maybe we didn't speak on that maybe you wanted to address real quick, or do you feel comfortable with what was discussed?
Yeah, no, I don't think I think we touched on really everything. And it's just a matter of, like we said before, 11 days until the first opening game. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next couple days, next week. Can we get some new signings in? Do they even arrive in time for us to get them on the pitch? So it'll be kind of a wild and crazy start to the year, and hopefully we get some signs of some progress with the team. So yeah, I'm excited.
You guys heard that here first. My name is Leo Coys. That was KTK, Krash the Karsh. It was fun, my homies. And we will catch you filthy animals on the next episode. Don't forget to follow. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to subscribe and hook us up with 5 stars, my homies. Let's go up the pids.
Yeah. My heart, C38, Lil Coys and KTK. Locals on the fly causing turbulence. Got some waves on our way to the confluence. New voice for the fans, from the pitch to the stands. My heart, locals in the South Bank lads. Leo Coys and the whole need Krash. Hold up, what's this? A raft on the water to the confluence. Yeah, it's trance, unbind to rhymes and laughter. Head to the waters if it's piss you're after. C38, the time is now. Locals on the drums to hold it down. Like the stream and 2 5 stars. The mile high hot spur and Krash the car. Yeah.